Don't apologize for any of them. They're all terrible people.
She has a 63 Corvette.
Just because she has a cool car does not mean any of them are good people. We're both using different audio setups this time. Were you using that, or you?
Same as all. I am a one-man machine. I've been using this microphone since 2016. I want to say.
You knocked that thing over so many times.
I have. If you're ever wondering how much AKG C214 can take, it is dropping it over 4 times on a hardwood floor and hitting it with a ceiling fan once.
That's good. Last time I had an overhead C-stand with a gobo arm and a shotgun mic going down to me. This time I have more of a TikTok route. I have like a little lapel mic right on me. It's still the same camera, but just slightly like moved over different things because I'm the host this week. So I'm gonna be a little more animated and I'll be all over the place. So I don't want to have like a specific mic down like on my head, but. Welcome back to, I guess this is episode 2 of Oohs and Who
We're not
News.
gonna timestamp it. We're just gonna.
We don't know. But
we're just gonna say we're recording our first few episodes in these few weeks, and y'all don't know which ones are which. So
we don't know if you're clicking on this video specifically because you saw the other video we made on streaming farms, or if you are watching this for the first time, and if so, we also have another video about streaming farms. It's like 10 seconds, more of a YouTube style. This one's more of a conversation, long form piece, but you'll see that with each of our topics that come out. That we're gonna have kind of like short form, little bite-sized things for you to watch, and then we'll have like a long discussion kind of thing. You know, it's almost like a school project where you're like, here's the first part of it, here's the second part. Grade us. Just grade us. It's fine.
One week,
it's cool.
Richard's gonna be teaching me how about things that he wanted to learn, and then I'm gonna teach him about things that I want to learn, and y'all gonna learn a whole bunch of cool stuff along the way. Cause who knows? Last time we recorded, you said you talked about my natural light and how I had a bad beer taste and how I was drinking bad beer. So I went out and got a couple of things. One is a natural light, as always, and then I got a medium natural light.
Okay.
And then I got a even bigger natural light.
Why?
Because I thought about it, the price of these 3 is
It's a
equal
Wednesday.
to one really good beer.
It is still a Wednesday.
You act like I don't drink every day.
Well, it's still not the same price of a good one. A good one is still like less than all that. I feel like that combined. How much did you spend? How much did you spend on all of that?
This is $1.50.
Okay.
This is $2.50. This is $1.50.
Okay.
This is 50 cents.
Okay. 50 cents?
Yeah. You know how like gas stations will somehow like break a case by accident, so they'll sell like a bunch of ice in the front? Yeah, this is where I got these from.
Oh, that makes more sense because I'm like, I've never seen a 50-cent beer before in my life.
Yeah, I'm an adult.
That's crazy.
So yeah. But
you know what else is crazy?
What?
Streaming farms. Did I tell you about this? Did you like, so it's funny, when we were first deciding on what topics to do, this is the first thing I presented because like, I was literally just like scanning I saw the dumbest meme one day. I saw the dumbest meme and it was a picture of a bunch of phones in a warehouse and the meme was just like, this is where all of your iPhones are. Because it was around the time that the new iPhone came out and everyone was like waiting for the new iPhone. They're like, I put my order in, waiting for weeks. They're like, where is it? This is where they are, over. But no, I sent it and I was like, oh, this is so funny. And then I'm like, but wait, why is there a physical warehouse with just a bunch of phones on stands? That's just weird. And I did a little deep diving, and I found out these were called streaming farms. Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about streaming farms, Dakota, or are we starting from scratch?
From scratch. I know about. I have a general idea of like what they would be. That's it.
So just to put a precursor on for you, a streaming farm is pretty much a place where people pay others to just watch things or do things over and over again using bots. That's a precursor, but how we get into that is it's a whole entire different thing. So you ever like feel like you're watching a streamer or a YouTuber or listening to music artists that like kind of came out of nowhere and you're like, how does this person have so many hits? Like I've never heard of this person, or even like a big name music artists that like they release a song one day and then somehow you click on it within like 2 minutes of it releasing, it's like, why does this already have like 3 million hits? That's not, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
There's an actual kind of science behind it, and it's crazy once I like went down this rabbit hole. But before that, let me just explain something to you. If you all don't know, especially, most people probably don't listen to the radio anymore, but a big thing back in like the 50s and the 40s and the 60s, like around that era, was something called payola. I don't know if you know what that is, Dakota. So payola is pretty much when you are slipping money to like the disc jockey, the person running the radio station, to be like, play this song. Back then, that's how music became popular. Like, I might be a band, and I might be slipping some DJ in Milwaukee $500 to be like, play this song a lot. Play this song in the next like week, play it on repeat all the time. I want 1 million people to hear it. And, you never know when someone from, I don't know, like Arizona's up in Milwaukee, and they're like, oh, this is great. And then they bring it back down to, Arizona, and people in Arizona start listening to it. And like, that's how music grew back then. Like, a lot of times, like, that's how you became discovered. Like, your music had to be on the radio and other people's heard it and requested it elsewhere. So, kind of got the buck rolling.
There is so much money and drugs that went through like 70s disc jockeying.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. But like, just the amount of and it wasn't always money that went under the table. It could have literally been like, here's coke. Just go like do whatever. Like, please get my music on the radio. Here's whatever. Like, because you probably might know the disc jockey, the person who's playing the music, and be like, oh, I know specifically what to get. And you're like, they might be a diehard like Orioles fan and be like, here's tons of Orioles tickets for you to play our music. Before this, there weren't any real laws about this. It was just business as usual. But in the late 50s, they finally started cracking down on it. There was jurisdiction, there was laws, there's rules. Congress kind of put it into place like, hey, you can't do this anymore. But if you know anything about music and entertainment business, there's always loopholes, right? There's always a way around whatever your like law that exists. Like, there's always something. And what ended up happening was you would hire promoters. Promoters still exist. There would be like a middleman, and the middleman would be the person giving the radio stations money to make sure that your song went on the radio. That's how they kind of got around it. So like, it's illegal for me as the artist to give you money, but it's not illegal for my promoters to do it. The promoters are just promoters. They're just saying, hey, I think this is a good song.
So you pay somebody to play your song, it's legal.
Yes.
But you pay somebody to promote your song, it's illegal.
Yes, so I can't tell you to play my song. I can't give you money. I can't bribe you. It's like in any workplace, if you can't take a bribe to do something, but if there's a middleman. That's why lobbyists exist in DC. That's what happens. Like, it's not DuPont or Pennzoil or someone coming to you as the congressman being like, here, take this money, do it for us. It's a lobbyist. It's just someone hired within it that's like, hey, I'm just a middleman. So that's how that ends up working. But I mean, we live in the 21st century now.
Society. Sorry.
We do live in a society, but we live in the 21st century now. People really aren't listening to radios. People aren't that's not how you discover things anymore.
Yeah,
we use the internet, right?
Yeah, I think around like high school for me was when I started realizing that radio was not because like I went to high school. I graduated in 2012, so my what are you drinking?
Monster. I don't really drink much in the week, but although we were just in Mexico and I had some real tequila. Fun fact, tequila is not supposed to be super strong. Tequila is only supposed to be like 30 proof, like that's it. It's supposed to be like 15% alcohol. It's not supposed to be strong. It's supposed to be like a sipping thing. And we got a couple bottles of really good tequila.
Yeah, if you get tequila's supposed to be sipped. I can go on all day about alcohol. Like Patron.
We can talk about that later. Maybe we'll do a video on like whiskey or something.
Yeah, I do want to do a video on a whole bunch of like random stuff like that. Spoilers alert. But no, with radio, where was I going with this? Around 2012, when I graduated, I started learning that a lot of TV for me and YouTube was like where people were getting their first hit on music. Because I remember, do you remember back when Party Rock Anthem was like the thing? Like everybody was all about Party Rockin' by LMFAO.
Oh yeah, everyone was listening to LMFAO.
Yeah,
I remember
every
that.
high school
I was working in
band had to do it. You working where?
I was working at Dorney Park. I was working in an amusement park back then, and every single time I drove to work, I would always hear LMFAO.
Oh my god, it was that and that Maroon 5 song "Move Like Jagger" where, oh my God, like I remember turning to 4 radio stations and they're all playing it at the same time. And that was the most infuriating thing. But anyways, I remember LMFAO came out with Party Rock Anthem, and a few weeks after, on that same album, I saw on VH1 in the morning getting ready for school, they had Sexy and I Know It. And I said, that's a catchy song. That's a fun song. People are going to like that. I went to school and started telling people about it, and they're like, that's weird. You're weird. That's not a thing. Don't be. And then like 2 weeks later, everybody's singing that song, dancing to it, like wiggle, 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 wiggle. And I'm like, and they're like, have you heard this song before? I'm like, fuck you. I gave you that 2 weeks ago, but now that it's on the radio, now it's like, oh, the thing. So yeah, no, I don't listen to.
I know that feeling. I liked Imagine Dragons before it was cool, then it got cool, and I started not liking it.
Oh yeah. I got a buddy of mine who hates Imagine Dragons. He dropped.
'Cause they're not good.
Yeah, is Imagine Dragons the new Nickelback of this century? Do you think like in 10 years people are gonna be like, ew, Imagine Dragons, and then like unironically like them?
No, because I like Nickelback
Okay.
than Imagine Dragons, I think.
Oh.
I also put Creed ahead of them.
Creed.
Creed.
Me and he hates Imagine Dragons, and I forgot where I was going with this. Continue on with this. We're going off. I was going to say we need to do a music video episode.
Well, because we're talking about music. It's fine.
We need to go into an episode on like our music taste, because I have I got 2 episodes right now ready to go for, 1, our red flags in dating, because it's my music taste, and then 2, an episode on our music taste, because I have the greatest and worst taste in music, I believe, because I'm very easily influenced. I unironically like country music, and I feel like that's a red flag. And
that's worrisome, but it's fine.
Yeah. Me and Felicia, my girlfriend, were up late last night listening to old school, like 2012, 2010, like rock bands.
Like you said old school, and then you said 2012.
Well,
there's people out there that are going to be like, that's not old.
That's not old. I was there for Motley Crue's second reunion tour. But no, we started listening to like old school, all time low albums that came out when I was in high school that I loved, and I unironically like Falling in Reverse. I hate Ronnie Radke, kind of an asshole, but he does some pretty catchy songs. Can't rap, but I like his other songs. And Black Veil Brides, my ex listens to Black Veil Brides a lot. And it caught on to me too. So I'm like, I like this. I like this a lot. And now I'm like, I told somebody and they're like, ew. I'm like, oh, never mind. No, I'm good. Yeah.
But back from our music tangent, because
that's episode for another day.
It's all about music.
For another day.
It's all about music. But no, so we live in the 21st century, right? Like we don't listen to the radio nearly as often. But no. So you're probably wondering what this has to do with, streaming farms, like 1950s payola versus, 2022, 2023 streaming farms. So at the end of the day, it's all about moving money to get what you want done and to make money. So what these streaming farms do, in a sense, is let's take a weird artist you hate. They can go to a streaming farm, which can be as simple as some dude in a warehouse somewhere or in their basement, just having a bunch of phones up, replaying the same song over and over and over again on Spotify or Apple Music or on YouTube to get like views up, to streams up, to like whatever it is to get it more discovered. Your goal a lot of times isn't specifically to put tons of listens on it, it's to have enough listens on it that it gets picked up by the algorithm, and you're hoping your music or whatever it is good enough to actually get like listened to. So like people aren't trying to normally buy like millions and millions of hits on their videos or their songs because it's going to look sketchy. But if you get 10,000 pretty quickly, algorithm's going to pick it up and be like, oh, a bunch of people like this right now. It must be really hot. Yeah, let's push it. That's exactly what ends up happening. So that's what most people's end goals are. So there's actually a couple cool documentaries. I found one on Vice, kind of about it, where like I said, you see the pictures of like the Chinese warehouses where there's hundreds of them set up. There's also the ones that are like some random dude in his home takes 8 or 9 androids and boom, that's a streaming farm. So kind of how they work is they use bots. So I assume you know what
Yeah,
bots
yeah,
are,
yeah.
like what they're used for. Bots are pretty easy. They're pretty much programs that are made to act like us as humans, but like they do actions faster than we could ever do it. For example, if there's a shoe drop or something like that, and you really want this, or like think about it's actually really funny. I thought of one. So Fendi and Pokemon. If you know what Fendi is, high quality, high like level fashion of like purses, bags, etc. They have a partnership with Pokemon, and in a couple of weeks they're having a drop. So or Supreme, for example, ordering things online. If you're ordering things online and like the day it drops and it just like sold out instantaneously, you're like, what happened? People have bots set up to end up, grabbing those things, like clicking before you could even enter into, like, those things will be bought and taken even before, you could even enter your credit card or even get your credit card out to buy something. It's crazy how bots work. But anyways, you have these bots on these phones, and they're pretty much programmed to listen to the same thing over and over and over again, and kind of just play the system. There's kind of there's two methods of like streaming farms of what they do. I don't know if like there's a positive one and a negative one. Dakota, have you ever heard of like those websites? They sound really scammy. I know they do, but the websites that like have, there's like, oh, watch our ads, watch these videos, and we'll pay you. I think Bing even does that every once in a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same energy as what do you call it? So you watch the ads, and they'll pay you. It's kind of like the
Yes.
what's the other apps that do it? The surveys. Like
Yes,
people will pay you to do
it's like
surveys.
the service.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just like that. So, funny enough, I found out myself that those aren't fake. Those are real. Like those websites. I mean, there's definitely scam ones, but like those websites do exist. Like when they say like, oh, we're gonna pay you to watch this stuff, like it's true. That's what they do. A lot of times it's not in cash, or like it's usually like in credit. So like you'll build up on credit card or not credit card. You'll end up
gift
building
card
enough like gift card. So you might do good enough to get
PayPal
like a $20.
deposit. Yeah.
Exactly, something like that. So they're real. They're real. The reason
And they
we don't
will
hear
quiz
people,
you on it. They'll be like make sure you watch that video. Like
There's
if there's a
different ways.
dog ad for Folgers coffee, you better know what color that dog was, or they
it's
will
funny
test
that you
you
say
on
that.
it.
It's funny you say that because some of them are really strict like that to make sure you watch it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them aren't.
Really?
So what ends up happening is like it's not even hard. So Joe Schmo, like let's say you have we go through phones. We live in the 21st century where we go through phones like every year, every other year or something, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like or you could
Like mine.
you could go to yes.
Look at this.
You could go to a.
Look how broken that is. That's my phone
Really,
right now.
dude, you need a new phone. But that would work. That's perfect.
Patreon.com/Brews and Who News.
Honestly. But that would work. That's exactly what people use. Or you go to a thrift shop, get them for like $20 or whatever it is, super cheap. So what ends up happening is people put these bots in these phones. They have a VPN set up, and like what so one phone thinks it's in Virginia, the other phone thinks it's in India, the other phone thinks it's in, wherever it is. And you might have like 8 or 9 of these phones on those apps and those sites watching the ads over and over again. Not the ones that make you click,
But just the
but
push.
the ones that just they keep going
So,
and going and going.
My question
but there
is.
Yes.
My question is like I might be getting ahead of ourselves. How would you like even hire somebody to do that? Like how would you like get?
It's not hard. It's not hard. A lot of times, like you'll end up. I mean, you'll find things on like the dark web area. Like you'll find people.
I was about to say,
find
it's like a dark web area where people's like, hey, I'll just like I got a stream farm at home, or what's a small? So like you got
So-
big farms. What do you call
Yes.
somebody that's a home like a real farm, right? Somebody has
like
a real
like
farm.
a tiny farm, like some Joe Schmo. Just
Like, let's
just,
say I have a garden in my backyard. What would you call that?
Yes.
Like a
Those are just farmers. They're
Yeah,
also
okay.
farmers. It's funny because a lot of those people are doing it in a more passive way, which I was talking about, where like they're using these apps to, watch these ads over and over again to make some money. What ends up happening is these ads, like, how much do you think you would make from like watching 15, 20 minutes of an ad?
Oh my god. I'm trying to go off of like YouTube money from what I make from somebody playing an ad. So like,
Yeah.
I'm guessing less than $1 for 15.
Oh, 100%. For 15 minutes, you might be making a penny if you're lucky, or a penny of a penny.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause
a
I know
penny
I get,
of a,
like-
a tenth of a penny, like a
Yeah.
tenth of a cent.
'Cause
So
I
that's
know,
like 15 minutes.
On TikTok, I know that when not even ad time, but watch time, I think I get like for 7,000 views, I know they pay me about $7.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So like you have to take. So imagine if you're sitting there, pretty much the whole point of a lot of these farms is to passively make some income, but to play the system. And these people aren't villains. Like if I set up 8 phones that are all playing the app and over again, going 24/7, I might be making all of $40 to $50 a month. Like that doesn't sound like that's harmless. Like at the end of the day, like there are, and sometimes there are the ones like you said, like they test you at the end. They usually don't do a test, but like sometimes they'll end up doing something where they're like, after 20 minutes, like click again to go. So you'd have to set up your bot to be a little more intricate to be like, if it stops, you got to click it again to go. But what ends up happening is, you'll have 8 or 9 of these phones just streaming, you make $40-50 a month. It's just some passive income. Those websites come in and out all the time. So like that's like an innocent way to do a streaming farm. Yes, you're technically stealing from the company, but like it's just ads. Like you're stealing $40-50 a month. That's enough to get what, like a couple coffees from the shop, or like an extra case of beer, whatever it is. Like that's all. It's not much.
That would be about $40 divided by 1.5. That's like 25 years of these. So
25, but yeah, fair. See, like that's pretty much like the innocent side of streaming farms. Like anyone can do it. Also,
well, it's like you're basically, you're basically not a farmer, but like all of us.
You're mining.
So I got friends that I want to support, like online, right? So whenever they drop a new video that's like they put a lot of work into, I'll always like while I'm working, I'll play it in the background, low volume.
Yes.
I'll just have it going, and then I'll rewatch it. It's an hour long. I'll rewatch it again later. Or I'll comment and interact with it just to make sure there's some interaction on it when it first drops. So low key might not be a stream farmer, but I'm definitely a stream basil plant in my kitchen.
No, that's exactly it. That's exactly how this kind of grew up, because like think about PewDiePie. Like everyone knows the story of PewDiePie. Like when he was first starting to make YouTube videos, that's what he would do. He'd just be like sitting there for hours, re-clicking his videos over and over again to get views. Some companies are smarter than others. Obviously, like YouTube has became, a lot more stringent when it comes to that. Like if you see like a bunch of, you've seen these videos before, or even on Instagram, for example, where it's not hard to find these sites that like will pay, that you can pay people to like give me a bunch of likes, give me a bunch of comments, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's a surefire sign that you're seeing that, this is just like it's a farm. So these are bots doing it, because like you'll watch the same YouTube video and like it might have 20,000 views, but it has like 1 or 2 like thumbs up likes and like 2 or 3 comments. Are like, okay, that's not natural. Or like vice versa, where it's like, it has a bunch of views, maybe it has a bunch of likes, but all the comments are the same thing. Like, great video. This video changed my life. Like it's all over. They're all over Facebook.
It's the Amazon review of like.
Yes, that's exactly, and they exist. That's what they end up doing.
Yeah.
The bots are getting better at it, so they're kind of more intricate with their responses. But like when this first started becoming a thing, it was like a really rampant issue, because like YouTube really couldn't tell the difference, and but us as users, we could. It's like YouTube was like, I can't just ban these people. Like they have specific names. Like back in the day, it would be like blue shirt jacket user 1, blue shirt jacket user 2, and you'd see them all up and down. You're like, this is so fake. This is not real. But like now they're they're more creative with it. So it's the bots are getting more creative. It's the same thing with payola back in the day that we're running into now, where people are finding ways around the rules to kind of play the game.
I want one comment from Blue Jacket wearing number 5 to be pissed off. Like, excuse you, sir. I've been through 4 emails in my lifetime of Blue Jacket users, and I don't appreciate you blundering my name.
Honestly, that's what these streaming farms should do. They should have like a percentage. It should be like 9 out of 10 comments are positive, and like 1 should be negative. That would actually be a more natural feed or something like that.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Are we making a stream farmer?
Yeah, honestly, it's not. It's not as hard as you think. Also, you have just the other big thing is
it's not the video you sent me. Because the video you sent me of the stream farm when you said you wanted to talk about this was open, like a 1 story of like a whole entire room of a building was just like phones all out there. But realistically, if I grab, like in my house right now, let's say average of I have a child and a girlfriend and a cat. Okay, I have mine, hers, and then I have like 3 tablets, a PS5, a PS4, and a Roku TV and a computer.
Yes.
Like I could easily just like loop that. You know what I mean?
You could.
Like,
It's just, but is it worth it for like $40? For $40 a month to have them running 24/7, is it worth it? Just the other thing you'll notice a lot of times is they're always Androids. Apple is doing a very good job. It also is because I'm an Apple shill. There's an iPhone here. I do everything on my MacBook. It's fine. But Apple's very good at cracking down on it because anyone can pick up a burner phone. They're always Androids. They're easier to get rid of. You don't need to have a whole entire like user base for it. When you have an iPhone, the first thing you do is you have to have your Apple ID. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible to do it with iPhones. It's just more of a pain because a lot of times they're overseas. I don't know if you know this, but like an iPhone or an Apple product in like Europe is like double the price. It's crazy. It's like in Germany, for example, it's almost double the price. They have like an extra $300 on an iPhone. So it's always funny where people have these arguments online, like, oh, we hate Apple, they're overpriced and everything. But like, and in the U.S. market, they're pretty much like a high-end Apple versus a high-end like Android. It's pretty much the same price, but like over and the countries, it's just crazy.
I remember
it's
the
something
flip
I didn't
phone.
realize.
The new flip Android was like double the iPhone, and I'm like,
yep.
Are we more now?
So the argument of like, oh, iPhones are more expensive or whatever it is, like that's not the in USA. A lot of us have a closed mind, so we're always like, oh, no, like that's crazy. It's not.
It's a first world travesty.
It
baby.
really it is. It's like how I think like Apple only has like 4 or 5% of the computers in the world, but like in the USA it's like 20 or 30%, whatever it is. It's just it's the overseas taxes, but yeah, Apple's pretty good at that.
So what about IP addresses? So like
That's what they're using VPNs.
Oh, you're right.
So you have you could have NordVPN.
Not sponsored, but like this would be a terrible episode to sponsor NordVPN.
Honestly,
this would be like the worst episode to sponsor.
Cyberghost, you want to give us a sponsorship? I use you.
And you at home, you don't have to be a stream farmer to support us. You can just go to Patreon or just give us a comment on this podcast and say that, give us 5 stars and just tell us we're doing a good job and that Richard looks pretty.
Give us 5 stars. My Uber rating went down to 4.76 the other day, and I'm very, very disappointed that. No, my ride score. Apparently, ride score, and it's terrible. And I think we were coming home from Mexico, and I think someone, one of the riders didn't like that I didn't give him a tip or something like that, and they knocked my score down. I was like, oh,
you didn't tip your Uber driver?
Dude, tipping culture is a problem, but we're going to talk about that on another one.
Oh, that would be such a great episode. Yeah, tipping culture.
But anyways, the whole passive thing about streaming farms, it's very innocent. You're not going to buy a bunch of phones. You're only going to do this if you already own some phones. You're not going to go out there and buy like a bunch of phones unless like there's a reason to it. The real money comes from when you're doing it for more nefarious reasons. When you are the giant companies in China and Bangladesh, wherever it is, that are having their warehouses full of these, and people are contacting you daily to kind of boost your views, your ratings, etc. That's where the big money comes in, but that's also where the nefarious parts of it comes in. Yeah, streaming farms are crazy. The nefarious end of streaming farms is crazy, and it's not, like I said, dialing back, it's not always to get millions of views on something. It's usually just to play the system enough to, trick it into, bring it into the algorithm. A fun way to actually see on Spotify if a song has, been tinkered with in a sense with the streaming farm is to see where the views, or listens, I should say, the listens come from. Because Spotify, cool enough, you can see where it is. And you'll always see very specific places. Like, if your song came out, like, let's say you're an artist that is from, we'll go back to Milwaukee. Let's say you're from Milwaukee. But the first, 24 to 48 hours, first week, the majority of your viewership or listens, or, like, even a third of the listens came from, like, Orlando, and you have no connection to Orlando, there's something pretty, why do you have so many fans in Orlando? That's because and the VPN's going to say where they are. So, they easily could have hired a streaming farm to be like, boost my numbers up, just get them high enough, like 10,000, 20,000 listens, that the algorithm picks me up and starts saying people should listen to this person. And that's why the VPNs, say it's all over the place. But a lot of times, especially overseas, if you're cheap with who you're picking, their VPN could be the same kind of places. So they might only use 3 locations for their all of your listens, and it's there's 30% are from Orlando, 30% are from London, and 30% are from somewhere like Budapest, and it's that's strange, but whatever. But
so my question is morality, because if somebody does that, I feel like as a consumer, right? If somebody has their, let's say, random guy who does music,
Blue Jacket Wear #5.
Blue Jacket Wear #5 drops his album, right?
Yes.
And he's got a song out there called Blue Jackets and Blue Jackets Broken Zippers. That's his song he wants to break out, right?
Yes.
And he pays these stream farmers to push his song, and then I'm starting to see a lot more of this song. As me, a listener, I don't care. Like I'm just gonna scroll past it. Like it's not no harm, no foul for me personally. So morality, is it really bad? Like,
it's an ethical thing because does it really affect you?
Is it wasted money for them? Like
because it's great. It's a gray area. It's an ethical thing. It's not a legal thing. It's really not a legal thing. It's a completely ethical thing.
Now I will say if it is because let's say it worked out successfully and the artists that are out today are based off of that, then I would let's say like 6ix9ine, right? If he was caught doing that, if he was like coming out, if he came out today, and then a couple of years later was found doing that, then I'd be like, I don't want to. I'd be a lot more hateful towards that because I don't really care for 6ix9ine. But like anybody now, I feel like if you make it successfully and you're an asshole and you're a bad person, then yeah. But if like let's say Anderson .Paak or like some other great artist was caught doing that, I just wouldn't care. Like, does that make sense?
It's funny that you say that because like that's it. It's like, how is this different from like we hear about our favorite artists back in the day, like David Bowie, whoever it is, that we hear like there's payola that happened, like there's money going under the table to get their music heard, and you're like, oh, okay, well I love this artist, so like no, I don't really care. So it is an ethical dilemma where you're like, is it bad if it's helping me discover artists I love? I personally don't think so. A lot of people get angry at it more so because it screws up your algorithm. It cheats your algorithm. But let me ask you something. Is it any different than what these giant record labels are doing when they push out their new artists?
Yeah,
because
no, it's the same thing.
record labels have been caught doing this, where they're like, here's a new artist. Like, do you know how like music industry works? Like they'll sign someone, they might not touch them for like 5 years, and they're like, oh, this is the right time to release it.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. It was like it's a matter of like what's the difference between like stream farming and then like paying somebody to play your music or getting a middleman to do it. Like what's the difference?
And they end up being middlemen. That's what it is. Because like a lot of times, you don't care. You like either you're just gonna, if you don't like the music, you're gonna scroll by it. It's more of an annoyance thing. Like if you find like if you find like an artist, you're like, why are you famous? Or a streamer that you're like, why? I think what ends up being more of an issue is it brings into question who is actually like
doing it
naturally good at what they do. And like they got discovered like with hard work and dedication, and who's like a corporate plant, we'll say, like who existed. There's that, I always think of that. There's like, and especially like YouTube, that happens all the time, where there's just random YouTubers that like came out of nowhere and
like
they have
us.
gigantic videos.
We're amazing, and people are like,
but we don't
whoa.
have millions of dollars people throwing at us to like do some crazy project. No one built us a studio said,
like,
go make a thing.
Like, oh my god. Okay, so like Mr. Beast, right?
Yes.
I 100% believe no matter how like good of a person you are, if you get popular, someone's gonna hate you, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so I remember like somebody said, "Oh, Mr. Beast is supporting this thing, which is like against like one of the writers' strikes, or whatever."
Yeah.
And I'm like, the dude built like wells in Africa. Like, I don't care. Like, let him have it.
Well, it does. It comes down to like, do you care that this is happening? Like, is it a big deal? Like, it bothers me that there are people like you and me and other small creators that are like busting our butts off to make it and do it, and then you have these corporate implants that are just like put there. They hire these, like the corporations that want them big, hire these streaming farms to get their numbers up, to pick them on the algorithm and get them going. That drives me nuts.
It doesn't become like Spotify, or it doesn't become like, it's not YouTube or Spotify or any other social media platform, TikTok. It's not their fault
No.
because they created the medium, but
Yes.
people will weaponize it and use it to their advantage. So it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
their fault, but at the
No.
same time, it's like, do we as a viewer like have to step up and do it? 'Cause it's like the wild west of like social media. It's like crazy right now because like companies will not be able to, they'll make things that make it harder for that to happen, but it's
They
up
do,
to
'cause they do
us.
things to kill your engagement.
Yeah.
It's up to us like to sift it out, which sucks because it
And
shouldn't
if
be
they
our job.
Yeah, and if they do, like let's say like streaming farms, right?
Yes.
Let's say they say, hey, if you get more than 2,000 views in one area in 1 hour, we're going to kill. We're going to pause it. We're going to take a look. We're going to kill your audience protection, right?
Yeah.
But let's say I do a video on my favorite beer from Milwaukee, and a lot of people from Milwaukee love looking up beer, don't you know? So they will go out and like, let's say they all go look at the same thing, and then they're like, oh, well, now the video's dead because it just picked up all this traction from this one area. But I don't know. I
think it's slightly, but that's slightly different because like if you're one specific area, like a company that's where the issues come to be.
I'm so confused.
The websites get smarter and smarter. So like, let's take Milwaukee, like you said. They look up beer.
Milwaukee.
If they're looking up Milwaukee's best, if they're looking a bunch of things up, like these websites are usually smart enough to figure out what's going on like around it. Like, oh, is something happening in Milwaukee? Is there a beer fest or something that people are all looking it up? Or like, also like it's all different searches. It's not like everyone is going to the same exact site. Like, oh, they're all going to the Budweiser site or they're all going to the one site. Like it's a generic search on Google that is bringing them to different things. Cause like, so, it's pretty much something called search engine optimization, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to end up happening. Google steers you to
right?
places. Yes, but like Google will steer you to places. It would be more suspect if everyone went to the same exact random indie site, like it's some IPA site, like everyone went there and just there alone. Mm-hmm. But like if they're going through Google, they're looking for different things that get there at the same time. It's different. It's because you can track the paths of where people are coming from. That's a natural. That's a natural thing. That's a natural progression versus like they type in the exact URL to like get to exactly what like. But that's also like that's a good question of like that's another ethical thing. Like if I don't, it comes down for me is like if you have a good product, whether it's music, you're a streamer, you're making videos, you're making beer, and you're
making great podcasts about random.
You're making great podcasts. You're using these stream farms to kind of throw things in there to like to make you better. Is it wrong or right? Because like, how is that different from some kind of advertising? You're paying for advertising in a sense. It's just a new version of our advertising that we haven't seen in the past. It's a weird gray area, which is why I wanted to talk about it.
It is
like,
such a weird gray area, dude. I thought like, okay, so when you sent me that video,
it's not all malicious. It's not all malicious.
Yeah.
People don't realize like they don't realize like sometimes it's like just unfair footing. It's not equity.
Yeah.
It's. You know, because there's been artists that get caught. There's French Montana, for example. He got caught doing this, and like even to this day, there's giant artists that are out there. Like I said, like you'll see an artist drop some new song, and within minutes is 2 million listens. You're like, that doesn't seem right. Like there are big corporations are paying these stream farms to just kind of get it in the door.
To get the
it's a fine line though.
Digital
because like
is
it a big deal just to get your foot in the door if you have the money to kind of push it in the right direction? If you're paying for millions of listens and it's falsified, like that's a problem. But like you're good at the end of the day, like pushing in the right direction, getting in the algorithm, it sucks because small content creators like us can't afford to do that. But like at the same time, like if a good product is going to exist. If it's a bad product, people are going to make fun of it.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Do you remember like Rebecca Black's Friday? Everyone made fun of that video
Friday,
on YouTube.
Friday, gotta get
Everyone made fun of it because like it was a corporate like unit where like people are like, we want this person to succeed. Like I forget if it was like her dad or someone paid for like the music video to happen, but like there's money that went into it
and you could
to make her big.
Like it's so
and you could tell.
Easy.
That's why people made fun of it. It was so bad. Like it was a one-hit wonder kind of thing, but it was like making fun of it. It wasn't a a positive thing, and like
Do you
that's what ends
remember
up
when
happening.
the Fred this is gonna be a weird
It was
tangent
Fred.
but relatable. Do you remember when Fred co-starred on iCarly?
Mm-hmm.
So Nickelodeon signed a deal with Fred around that time. That was the first like interaction he had with Nickelodeon, and then after that, he had to make the Fred movie, and then the Fred movie 2, and then the Fred TV series, and it was like all contract based, but it was
Yes.
like it was so bad, but he had like no choice in the matter because it was all corporate just pushing him, and it was like
That's what ended up happening in that era, where like all these people that are online creators were getting bought up by giant corporations. Like I was listening to the Creator Space podcast with Colin and Samir, and they're interviewing Smosh, and they're talking about like it's at that point where like people were realizing, oh, these YouTube influencers, these creators, people making the videos on the internet, they're bigger than we thought they were. Let's buy their rights. Like let's buy them, like their personas, whatever it is. Let's make them big. And I think it ended up failing most of the time
Yeah.
for most people.
It
I mean,
works.
Fred's a perfect example, but
yeah,
like
Hollywood
it
works for
different.
Hollywood when they
Yes.
create it, but it does not work for YouTube or TikTok or something like that.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, these corporations can throw $500,000 at someone, and a lot of us content creators, we've never seen that much money. So we're like, yeah, of course we'll sign our rights away to like do whatever you want us to do. Like we're working for Nickelodeon or whatever it is. But
If you
yeah,
gave me
it's
my next electric bill, I would 100% sell out. Like I don't know that kind of money whatsoever. So it's like if you were like, hey, I'll pay your electric bill next month. I'm like, yeah, I'll do a funny dance or whatever. Like, yeah. I don't know, man. It's like.
But does
I
it bother
can't-
you knowing this? Like, does it like is there
It
can you think of like
doesn't.
examples in your head where you're just like, oh, glass is shattered? Like I wonder if that
It-
person was like just planted there.
It
I
doesn't.
wonder if there was a streaming farm or like how it happened or.
It doesn't because I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like content will be put out, whether it's pushed by somebody with $2,000 of bar bits of money sent to a stream farm, or just dumb struck of luck on my For You page. I'm going to ingest that media and determine for myself will I like it or not. I will get upset if, let's say, YouTube or Spotify or any other like media platform will prioritize other ones obviously over mine. You know, like if let's say if a social media platform said, hey, if a podcast or show or video got this many views in this amount of time, we're going to push them over the ones that get it over a certain amount of hours.
Yes.
I would be upset about that. But they, they would have to make a statement about that, like change in the algorithm.
Oh, well, yeah, it's like how you can't do like a post on Instagram or like Facebook or anything without like, and if it's an advertisement, you have to put like paid advertisement in it, like whether it's the hashtags, it has to be somewhere very specific or it's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the secret of streaming farms, where like you can do it more in an underhanded way, and people don't like that because like there's no proof to be like, oh, you bought these views, you bought your way into the algorithm for us to find you. But like, again, you're buying your way into the algorithm. The algorithm's at the end of the day, the algorithm's gonna decide. Like it's putting you in front of people, but like if it's bad, it's bad.
It's the same energy, and I don't want to like say this in a controversial way when it comes to the corporates. I'm not trying to compare the two, but it is literally the same thing as, I don't know if you remember when YouTube pushed this. TikTok is starting this now, where if you pay for views, like you can pay for a certain amount of like not guaranteed views, but like wish to be guaranteed views. Like say I'm gonna pay Google or YouTube or TikTok $100, and they're gonna push my video more.
Yeah, they treat it as, they turn it into an ad.
Yeah.
It goes into a Google ads, like AdSense, and it's like, it's not played for people. Like it's not suggested more. I think it's just played in front of videos. Like it's like, you know how you see like a Verizon video or something in front of your videos if you don't use ad block. Like that's what I think it does.
And YouTube used to do the same thing.
It does, but it would say that it was happening though. Like,
Yeah.
it was because it had that, like, it had the yellow bar where you couldn't skip it until you had to skip it. Like, it was known that it was an ad. It wouldn't just pop up randomly like on the bar, be like, oh my god, maybe you should watch this video. Like, the algorithm wouldn't do that. It wouldn't suggest it as a video. It was like, we can give you paid views and we'll put it as an ad, but we're not gonna, like, it wasn't search engine optimization. It was specifically ad optimization, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it does.
and that would end up ruining your, again, a lot of these platforms are fighting against it. Like I said, they'll be like, oh, this is weird numbers or whatever it is. So, like, they'll exnay the video if they think, they won't get rid of it, but they'll be like, we're really not going to push it whatsoever. And it ruins your engagement. It's also like, it's like how Instagram did that, where you would, it was not streaming farms, but it'd be a farm like that, bot farms, which are similar to streaming farms, where you buy followers on Instagram, and then it would ruin your engagement. Like,
Yeah.
you could buy 1,000 followers or 2,000 followers. Like, because remember, the way Instagram works is that you need to, I think you need, like, your posts are, and TikTok I think is similar. It's like, it's released to the 10% of, like, your followers. And if they engage with it, then it's released to 100% and then farther. So if you have 20,000 followers, but only like 200 of them are real, the other 20,000 are like, or 18,000, whatever it is, are bots. It's showing it to bots, and no one's going to engage with it. So Instagram's going to assume, oh, this is a terrible post. We're not going to show it to anyone. So that's their way of, like, fighting stream farms and bot farms.
Now here's a great here's a great wax one. Here's a great interaction with that. What is the difference between bots and going viral? Because I will tell you, on TikTok, the interaction rate is so different. It's so different because let's say I had a video that hit viral, right? And
Yes.
from that video, I got 100,000 followers.
Yes.
None of which interact with me. From non-farming, nothing, just pure organic.
That happens a lot. It's called a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. So yeah, this was my, God, what was that band in the 80s that did the Waffle House song or the Pac-Man song? Anyways, so but I do videos still on that platform and that same account. So I have 130,000 followers on that account.
Yes.
And my audience participation is 10%. So 10% of the people who follow me are the ones that interact. 90% are the ones from the For You page.
Funny enough, if you take it from a marketing perspective, that's about correct. This is something that was actually set up by Kylie Jenner. So companies,
She's
it kind of plays the same.
Who
They're
has
all terrible.
cool cars and
But she's
is a
terrible.
Kardashian.
They're all terrible.
What?
They're all terrible. They're all terrible.
What?
But
She has
so
cool
what ends up
cars.
happening is, so companies will pay these people to, like, shill their product. They'll be like, hey, put our products in your ad or your post. Like, sometimes it's like, just put it in the background. Don't specifically advertise it. It just needs to be there. Or other times it's a pay ad. You're actually shooting for about 10% of users. So it's one of those things where you have to figure out if the amount the celebrities you're asking for are worth the 10% of their followers. So if she's like 20 million followers, it's probably going to reach like 2-ish million people, which is, then you're shooting for 10% usually. Like, that's your end goal on your average thing is 10%. So if you're getting 10% engagement, that's pretty normal. TikTok is a weird space where, like, I don't know if that's how their algorithms reach and what their percentages are, but I know that's Instagram and Facebook's numbers. But it doesn't shock me that you get like 10% unless like something bops. Like, it pretty much what ends up having to happen is, like, instead of getting 10%, you need to have so good that, like, that 10% loves it, gives it likes, gives it shares, and then it'll bop it on to the next round. It's kind of funny how it works, but, like, that's exactly it. Like, a bot could end up, watching it over and over again, but, like, it has to be natural engagement. Like, with TikTok videos, it's funny because, like, I don't know if there's a world where, like, streaming farms and, like, they have the bots set up that they can, like, separate them, because that ends up flagging it. I know, like, I know the way it was explained to me and the way I've researched it is that, like, the bots pretty much make sure it separates it out. So, like, every view, for example, on a stream, like on Spotify, is like the bots will be like, we need to time it every 6 seconds. We'll play it again because if we do too many, it triggers it. Like companies are more and more advantageously like, no, oh, this is if they're getting 300 hits all at once, like that's weird. That's weird for someone that only has like 100 followers. They have 310. No, it's weird.
Yeah.
So I think TikTok might be similar, but like TikTok's a weird thing where I think they're like Facebook where you get a view just for like scrolling by it. So I don't really know how that's gonna work, but I mean these companies that are kind of getting views for people are getting smarter and smarter, so they're gonna figure out a way to get around it.
Yeah. And they're probably sponsored by NordVPN. I want to make an apology. It wasn't Kylie Jenner that was having the cool cars. It was actually Kendall Jenner who has the cool cars.
Don't apologize for any of them. They're all terrible people.
She has a 63 Corvette.
Just because she has a cool car does not mean any of them are good people.
If you are a terrible person, show me your cool car. I will probably forgive you. That sounds like a personal problem if you're going to forgive them because they have a cool car. That's terrible advice. That's terrible advice. No one listen to this advice. The mustache man actually created Volkswagen, so that's actually very terrible advice.
I am well aware. That's why I'm saying don't listen to this man's advice.
Oh my god, can we go on a deep dive on the Volkswagen industry one day?
Just like all of the different, oh my god, I'd love to go on a deep dive on like all these different companies who are like, oh, they're so innocent, they make bombs.
Dude,
like, so many companies do that.
Oh my god, what car company did that? One car company legit.
All of them?
Profited off of war. I want to say
every single company profits off of war. That's why they all love war.
Was it Ferrari or what? No, Lamborghini. Lamborghini. Probably. Yeah. Don't ask what Lamborghini was doing in between the years of 1945 and.
But anyways,
so
that's what. Yes.
Yeah. So stream farms are at the end of the day, I think what we are establishing is a very cheap way of getting views, but at the end of the day, it comes down to audience participation.
It does. It really does. I mean, those stream farms can only get you so far, unless even if you have limited funds, like, it only gets you so far. There's no way to naturally, end of the day, there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's going to take hard work and dedication to make it as an artist in the music realm, in the video realm, in the streaming realm, whatever it is, it's going to take time and effort. These streaming farms could bump you if you're lucky, or it's a double-edged sword because if you don't get picked up by the algorithm, it's going to absolutely tank your videos. It's going to tank your artists, like your charts. It's going to tank your channel, whatever it is. And that's just how, it's a double-edged sword in that way. Like, it reminds me of my friend, or of our friend Evanito. His YouTube channel kind of got like hit a wall because that one big YouTuber literally like got him a bunch of like of subs like in a not natural way, and then it tanked his engagement and tanks everything, and that's what those streaming farms can do as well. So like I said, there's a passive way. There's innocent passive ways for streaming farms where you have a couple phones, you're just trying to make a couple bucks off these ad sites, whatever it is, and there's nefarious ones where there's a man in a hideout in Brooklyn and you give him $1,000 and he gives you 100,000 views, whatever it is. It's up to you. As you as the viewers, we'd love to know what your personal take on it. Like, where are you ethically on it? Like, legality, we're still nothing we can do, but like ethically, does it bother you if a streamer or a music artist you love has done this in the past, or is it mostly like, for me at least, like as an excuse to hate some like people that you're like, this person's undeserving? Because like I said, there's so many people that work hard to get where they are, and it sucks when you see these other people that like you just wonder how did they get so big so quickly? Like it doesn't seem natural that like where are these fans? Like where are these fans from that discovered them? Like what? How did that happen?
Like okay, hear me out. So like audience too also. We should give them a name. We should give our audience a name. That
is for a later debate. We'll figure that out. Right, maybe we'll make a poll one day.
Okay, cool. So, so our little Who News, they if you have it's for me, if I have an artist that I love, right, and I found out that they did farm streaming to get to where they are, I feel like it's a totally biased system, because if I found out that Connor Price, right, if I found out that he was a stream farmer, I would just be like, dang, that's crazy, and then like just not bring it up again, because I love Connor Price, and he has such great music too. So like I'm like, it's legit a moral thing that I believe personally, that if you are talented, it's scummy, it's bad, but nothing's changed. Spoiler alert, nothing's changed since the 1950s. If you are good and talented, sometimes scummy ways end up getting to the top. But you're still fun to listen to.
I think it's more so we hate people that we don't like that got there. I think that when we find out that people we don't like did those streaming farms, did the nefarious ways of getting the views and getting big, I think that's when we get annoyed. But like, if it's people you like, maybe we should thank the streaming farms in that sense, where we're like, thank you for helping me find the person I want. Like, thank you for finding, like, using the algorithm to find me a YouTuber that I love watching, or some music artist that I love. Like, maybe sometimes it's a good who knows.
I think
one might say it's a who knew.
Yeah, it's a who knew. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah, who knew this guy did this thing? I just want to put a record that Richard had to pee for like the past, God knows how long, hour. And I've had 25, 16, and going on, here it is, 12 ounces. And I haven't had to pee, so. Yeah, it just comes down to a moral standpoint. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's so weird. Like I said, if like a rapper like 6ix9ine came out and was like, I was not only ratting on people, I was also stream farming, I'd be like, absolute terrible system, shut it down.
I wouldn't be shocked if he was. I'm pretty sure he was like an implant there.
Yeah, and then if, let's say, like Connor Price or who's the other guy I love so much, Oliver Tree, if they're like, I was stream farming, I'd be like, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. You make fun videos. It's all good. You're talented.
No, I agree.
I think what I was about to say, I think essentially stream farming is a very cheap, like not very respectable way, not very respectable tool to get views, but I
was going to say it's definitely not inexpensive.
Yeah, it's a very cheap morally, but very expensive money-wise. But it's very cheap morally way to get views. But if you're, I guess, I don't know, it's a tool. It's a tool. I can't hurt somebody for using a tool the wrong way.
You're not going to hurt anyone, but it breaks the algorithm, because at the end of the day, there could have been someone that really worked hard to get picked up the algorithm, that had a great video or a great song that was replaced by this person. Yeah. And there's probably great people that have not been discovered that are doing the hard route, and because of that, that's exactly it. So it stinks ethically. To me, it's an ethically thing that annoys me, but like, there's just, at this point, I don't know what, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing legally you can do. There's nothing ethically we can really do to like change it. We can't really tell. So it's like, what are we gonna do? Like, sift through every single video artist song we see? Like, is this natural? Like, did they get their views and listens the correct way, or did they pay someone, or like what happened? Like, how do you tell?
I would say not worry about it. If legally there is something to do about it, I would say 100% get rid of it. But if it has to continue the way it is, just use your own personal opinion on things and just enjoy media and indulge it as you can.
Look, at the end of the day, if there's an artist you like, there's a musician you like, whatever it is, the content creator you like.
A podcast with two handsome guys.
If they use the streaming farm to get there, so be it. It helped you find them. Who are we to judge?
Yeah.
We're just here to learn something new and share it with all of you. So,
who knows?
like I said in the beginning, you might have found this podcast because you watched the short version video. If not, go check that out. It's more bite-sized. It's going to give you a little more dense information. If you had any questions or confusion on this is more of a discussion from us. And you'll probably see some TikToks and some, YouTube shorts, etc. talking about it. So, we hope you enjoyed them. But next time, we will bring you something else that we learned. And hopefully you learned it with us and you'll enjoy it just as much as you did this one. Like I said before, in the bottom, in the comments, let us know if, you think it's a really bad thing, if it's kind of a morally ambiguous thing. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, do you know any artists that have done it? Have you specifically tried doing it as a content creator before? Like, what has happened in your experience? Let us know. We'd love to hear your insight on it as much because, we're still learning. We're just scratching the surface with a lot of these topics. We're just trying to figure out, oh, this is interesting, and dive a little deeper, like a little YouTube rabbit hole. But still, if there's other people with other insight, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, give us if you're listening on Spotify or any other podcast listening device, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. Let us know; it'll help push us in the algorithm without stream farming. And yes, give us a like, follow. Hi, say hi, make a little mean comment about how I can't tie my shoes.
Can't tie your shoes?
It's embarrassing.
Wait, can you not tie your shoes?
I don't want to talk about it. I thought maybe you might get the picture when I wore those little shoestrings with the swirlies on them.
I'm embarrassed for you right now. I have secondhand embarrassment.
I'm actually debating about so what is worse, actually, hold on, before we end this, what is worse, caught lip syncing during a concert or stream farming?
I'm gonna say the caught lip syncing thing because people pay good money to see an artist they love and they want to hear that artist sing.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one
that's so much worse than
pretty
stream
bad.
farming in my opinion because stream farming might have it's not even a question. Lip syncing is so much worse.
Yeah,
just because you're as a person, as a fan, you're probably morally broken. You're no, I wanted to hear this person, not just see them in person. I want to hear them. So, lip syncing.
Yeah.
When did that even become a thing that artists would start doing that?
I don't know, because it's
you should probably look it up.
Artists who got caught stream farming. But
stream farming, I can tell you French Montana, G-Eazy, people like that. I'm more interested
G-Eazy,
in
that's
who
the worst one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more. I mean, and like I said, there's so many other people that their record labels paid for it. They don't even know that it happened. But
Man.
ignorance is bliss, whatever it is. But with that, we will catch you on the next episode. Whether it's our videos, whether it's our podcast, we will see you soon. We're gonna learn more with you, and we will have more ooh-woos and who knows.
Who woos and who knows? Who knows and you knows?
We'll see ya.